All right, welcome to Talk-Jitsu with host Uki Mike, Joy Boretski, and me, Jordan Preisinger from Jordan Teaches Jiujitsu. Today we have a great episode for you guys. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the recent event that just happened that B team competed on, and they didn't do too well. And but they are the B team, but I want to start off with talking about contracts, because I saw on Reddit someone was talking about they have a year-long contract and they got hurt, and then now their gym owner won't cancel the contract, because it's a contract, right? But like, to me, that's bullshit. Like, someone gets hurt, like, I don't want to take their money. And just in general, if someone doesn't want to train, I don't want to take their money. So, at our gym, we don't have any contracts. Like, sometimes people are surprised too, but why would I want to take your money if you don't want to train or you can't train? It just doesn't make any sense, especially during these hard times, like, inflation and housing crisis here in Canada. It's just awful. So yeah, like, Joey, I assume you don't have a contract either, but I don't know. Do you?
Nope, we don't do a contract either. The way I see it is, like, the only reason you would want a contract as a business owner is just to ensure that you're getting income from that source for a large period of time, regardless if they get hurt or quit. But ultimately, like, I'm sure you feel the same way. If someone wants to quit after 2-3 months, like, obviously I'm sad. I'm upset. I don't want them to go. I want people to stay and enjoy it. But I also don't want to force someone to stay paying to be a member at my gym if they don't want to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And, when I first started the gym, like, every gym around had year-long contracts, and I thought that that's what you're supposed to do. So, like, I had that in the contract that it's a year, but people would question, and I'd be like, no, we never charge a cancellation fee. So I don't know why I had it in there, but like, I was just kind of like newer, not knowing, like, how things are done. But like, now it just says in the contract, like, well, in the contract that it's just like, you can cancel anytime. It's like the contract itself is just for a month, but we do bi-weekly payments. So if you want to cancel anytime, it's free. So it's not a big deal. And it's funny, there's a gym around us that has a 30-day cancellation policy, and which isn't like as bad as like a whole year, but still, I don't like it. And it's funny, people wrote like reviews. I guess they had 2 reviews, people like complaining about it for good reason, and their response was like so unprofessional. And I just want to read it to you. Someone said, the owner said that after evaluating their policies, we decided on changing absolutely nothing. Swing and a miss. If you're open to discussing it further, we'd love to invite you back to the gym for a chat. And it's like, bro, why would you talk like that?
Yeah.
That's so rude. Why would you do that, like, open, like publicly? And then that was just one. And then there's another one. And they were saying, like, they went to the gym to cancel, and the owner was saying that he can't do it on the spot for some reason. Like, why can't you? You know what I mean? Like, you can. It's not hard. You just go on your computer and then you change it, and then you just like cancel the membership. And then, he was saying, like, oh, we got to make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's, whatever. And, in the review, they mentioned that he was kind of like unempathetic. And then in the review, he's like, we're sorry you found our co-owner lacking empathy during our interaction. Rest assured, we have a team of passionate, enthusiast individuals who genuinely care, blah, blah, blah. And we'll be sure to remind our co-owner to sprinkle some extra empathy in their morning coffee for future encounters. Like, you're just being like such a douche. Like, bro, I don't get why gym owners got to be like that. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not good for your reputation. And if people do want to quit, they might come back if you're not a douche, if you don't get charged these stupid cancellation fees. But, it's all too common, like, a year-long contract. But, what if you get hurt, or that's the main thing. Like, deciding you don't like it, like, that's one thing. But like, if you get hurt and they expect you to pay still, like, I don't know. I'm not about that.
I don't know if you remember, but I actually started Jiu-Jitsu in 2019, but I actually started in 2017 with you at your very first gym. And I dislocated my kneecap, and you canceled the policy or the contract immediately. And then I joined a year later. I decided to try it again. 2 days in, popped my kneecap again. You canceled it again. There was not even an argument, not even a discussion. You said, no problem. I'll just cancel it for you. And I've been here since 2019, no injuries, but there was no argument, no nothing. You didn't have like a big head or anything like that. Just like, you can't come. You can't come. You're not going to pay.
Yeah. And then some people like justify it by like, oh, gym owners don't make much money in this and that. But like, it's a pretty lucrative business for many. Like, you don't need to like just screw people like that, especially like one person's not going to ruin your, your income. If they get hurt, you cancel their membership. It's not going to ruin your income. And one thing too, I really hate is like when people make you pay for promotions. Like, and I saw on Reddit too. Like, there's just someone complaining, or they were kind of like advocating for it, saying like, well, belts cost money, so if if they charge like $15 to $50 for the promotion or whatever, then it's justified. But like, bro, like belts cost $6 wholesale, like Canadian. That's what I pay for a belt, $6. And how often do people get promoted? Like every 2 years, right? Or on average. So it costs you $3 per year for the belt.
Yeah.
And like, is that going to make or break you? But like, no, it's a lot of gym owners. They just like nickel and dime people. And then they wonder why, things like COVID happen, and like, those people don't want to support the gym because like, it goes both ways. You're going to nickel and dime people. They're going to nickel and dime you back. And yeah, there's just so many gyms like that. And when there's a gym that's not like that in the area, people are going to start switching from that gym to the gym that's cool. Right. So yeah, like it's more like the bigger kind of gyms that are like that, more like corporate style. But like the best gym I think is just like more like family style, or kind of both. Like we're a bigger gym, but we're still like family style. We're not just like super corporate, like bullshit. Yeah.
Case in point, when you needed help moving gyms, there was like 30 people here offering help with everything from carpentry to electrician work. They didn't ask for anything. They didn't want anything. They just wanted to help because you help us. So it's a give and take. Like you said, if you treat them like shit, nobody'd show up.
Yeah. And it was like that when I moved my actual house too. Like so many people came to help me move. And, if I were just to like nickel and dime these people and just be a douche like that, no one's gonna like me. No one's gonna help me out. So, just being a kind person, just like, just benefits you so much. Like, not that that's like the reason you're kind and do these things, but, that's an extra benefit, and like, same thing with you, Joey. I'm sure like so many people helped you, renovate your gym. Like you just got new mats and it's looking really good. It looks just like our gym. It looks sweet.
Thanks. Yeah, we put a ton of work. Like I tell a lot of people when they come to our gym, it's one of the first things I say. Our wall mats, we actually made them ourselves. Like we just bought plywood and foam and like insulation, like vinyl to go over them, and a staple gun, and we just made all of our wall mats custom to the size. It ended up being about less than a quarter of the price of buying them, but it took 4 days over the Easter weekend of like getting to the gym at like 7-8 a.m. and working until midnight to build all these things. And I basically had one guy from the gym who came in like pretty much every day and helped me. I don't think I could have got it done without him, but like it, just having someone do that, and like I didn't pay him for it. I didn't ask him, like he didn't ask me for money or anything because he knew I didn't have it to pay him, but he just wanted to give back. And as a gym owner, like I don't know how you could look at people who are willing to go out of their way for you and then say like, oh, well, you owe me $15 for a belt. Like, come on, man, get out of here. I'm going to offend some people here for sure. But if you're at a gym that charges for belts or especially stripes, just ask your coach why they charge you. And if the answer isn't just, I want more money, he's full of shit. Your coach is full of shit and he's a fucking liar, because that's the only possible answer to that question. It doesn't cost $30 or $50 to buy a belt unless he's like going and finding the ingredients and building this thing himself. Like it doesn't cost that much money. You can, as a gym owner, like let's say your gym membership's $100 a month. It's an average of 2 years. That's $2,400 over the 2 years between your belts. If you can't find $10 out of that to justify it, you're either the worst businessman in the world or you're conning your students. So if you're at a gym that charges, ask them. I'm telling you, anything other than they want more money is just a load of shit. It's a lie.
Yeah, 100%. The person on Reddit advocating for charging for belts, like recognizes the username. He's someone that me and you used to train with, Joey. And he's also like, I once posted like a video of me as a white belt, and it was like, on Reddit, and it was like 7 years, or it was like 5 years or something like that, like since the video was posted, and now I'm a black belt, and someone's just like wow, you know, black belt in 5 years, even though it was 7, like just when the video was posted, and then he's like, yeah, it's bullshit. Like, and then he was like saying that I got my belt from a belt factory and this stuff, just like talking mad shit, and you know, that just pissed me off. So anytime I see his username, I'm like, fuck you, you know. But yeah, he blocked me, so I can't even like look at his profile or anything, you know. So he's being a douche and he blocks me, like, you know, whatever, you know. There's this like song lyric, like I was certain times, like all the time, like lyrics like resonate with me a lot, and yeah, like that one, man, I forget how it goes now because I'm just on the spot, but it's like yeah, basically saying like now you, man, I can't even remember because I'm on the spot, but you know, like you can't get my name out of your, I don't know, whatever, but like it must piss him off seeing my name all the time on Reddit, and just like I hope it drives him crazy.
Yeah,
so like, that's a ridiculous comment. So he was actually advocating for charging for these things. And if I recall correctly, that gym charged for stripes too, which is even more absurd. What are you going to pretend that little piece of hockey tape cost $10? You get a whole roll for $1.99.
Yeah,
like
it was
if you're really,
$35.
Yeah, if you really need to charge your students, it should be like 1 cent per stripe to justify the cost of the tape. And don't hit me with the whole, like, I know people in Reddit will have these arguments where like, oh, it's the instructor's fee for grading you. That's just a part of rolling with your students and being a coach. There's no actual grading going on. I don't, like, when I give out a stripe, I don't sit down and go, I'm going to do 2 hours of my time to grade this student. That's just an accumulation of the information I have received from rolling with them and watching them do techniques, watching them roll with other students. If I can't gather their skill level from that and I have to sit down for 2 hours and watch them to justify a $35 fee, I'm a shit coach.
Yeah, no, man, you nailed it. That's 100% true. Like that's their job. That's what you pay them for, is to make you better at jiu-jitsu and analyze their skill level and promote them accordingly, you know? So I think, I don't know, he just loves arguing with everything. Like when I had him on Facebook before he deleted me off Facebook because I left his gym, I just see him in arguments all the time. Like, bro, don't you get tired of arguing with people over like everything? But yeah, and then you're going to argue for, you know, charging for belts. Like that's just, yeah, that's super messed up for sure.
I mean, I guess they can do it. Oh, I was going to say, like, I guess if that's ethically like how they view it, of just gouging their students and making extra money, that's fine. But like, I know from like my ethics and my morals here, that's just not okay with me. So I get pretty passionate when, you know, people come to my gym from other gyms and they're like, oh yeah, like belt testing was like $85 or $100 to test for a belt. And you're like, what? Like, that's a month's membership at our gym. Like what the hell's going on here?
What happens if you fail? Suppose you don't pass the grading. Do you still pay half? Do you pay any? Do you pay all? I have no idea.
I think everyone passes. If I had to guess, I'm going to guess that the instructor's just got some extra bills or wants to buy something fancy. Dude wants a new PlayStation 5 or TV. So he's like, shit, better do some gradings. Got to get that money.
Yeah, the only time I don't mind it is if that money is going to charity, because that's just a good reason, you know, like, okay, it's $10 or $15, whatever it is, like we're putting all that money to the food bank, you know, it's just a good way to raise money because you're already doing like the grading. So, you know, then it's fine. But, you know, I rolled with someone the other day, they were like 300 pounds, like it was a big boy. And he's been training 15 years, and because he only does an ogi, he's never been graded. And so technically he's a white belt, but like it's just ridiculous to me. Like why can't your instructor just grade you anyways? Like I don't see the point of like not grading someone because they don't do gi, because it's still Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But yeah, you know, at the same time, I don't even think we do Brazilian jiu-jitsu anymore for the most part. And what I mean by that is it's like we just do grappling, you know, like I just grapple. So like I don't know why people have to like divide these like sports so much. Can you close the door, Mike? Yeah, I don't want people to divide these sports so much into like their own thing. Like it makes sense when it's like the competition, like rule sets and stuff like that. But in terms of like, you know, if you do one thing, oh, that's a sambo technique, or oh, that's a judo technique. Nah, man, I'm just grappling. So yeah, that can be kind of weird too.
No, I agree. Like I would much rather call my gym like Limitless Edmonton Submission Wrestling. The problem is just like for Google searches and like ad traffic and stuff, like saying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gets a lot of clicks and a lot of people in the door because they know what they're getting. Submission wrestling seems a lot more foreign, I think. But really, like, all of these arts now have been so intermingled that it's just a amalgamation of all the types of grappling.
Yeah, I mean, you're only doing a specific sport if you're like abiding by those rules. So like, for example, like just say we're rolling in the gym and we're only doing like what's illegal IBJJF, and then okay, then that's kind of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But you know, that's not the way I like to do things. I like to do everything, right? And same thing if we're only doing, like, just say we're doing stand up and we're doing judo rules. Well, then we're doing judo. But like if we're just rolling and we're doing some, you know, I did like a judo technique, you know, it's not like you need to separate that to be its own thing. Maybe judo's a little different. Like maybe it can be more, but wrestling, I don't feel so much. I feel like you're just, you know, there's stand up and you need to, if you're standing up in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you use techniques from other sports, you're just grappling. So it's like, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, you said something that made me think of something. You said that here we do everything, like all the moves are legal. Is it not common for that to be, like, is that not the norm at every gym? I've only been to this gym.
Yeah, well, it's becoming more common now, but you know, it's still not super common. Like you go to a gym and you're like a white belt and you do something like I don't know, something that, or a blue belt, you do something like or a knee bar or whatever. It's like, oh, that's not legal. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's no cops here, or there's no refs here. You know what I mean? So like illegal's just like, come on, man. But like just in general, like I think more and more I feel like I don't do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I just grapple because so many things about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu I don't really care about. Like, for example, like Lineage, like what's my lineage? I don't know. Like, because I had two different instructors for white belt and blue belt. And then I got, then I affiliated with someone else and their lineage is kind of, you know, confusing. So like, because they got promoted by a certain black belt and then they kind of like parted ways or whatever. So like, I don't care about lineage, you know, like I taught myself for the most part, like I had 3.5 years of instruction. And then ever since then I've been on my own. So like, I don't give anyone credit for my ability and my knowledge. Like I did it mostly myself. So lineage, I don't care about. And then other things too, like, am I paying the IBJJF a ton of money so I can be IBJJF certified black belt? Like, no, like I'm a black belt and I know I'm a black belt. It's good to go. I'm not giving you money, you know? So there's all these things that are like specific to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that are becoming less and less important or even common. Like, again, like even following the rules of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? Because we're just most of us are grappling, like not most of us, like us at our gym, we are, and other gyms are kind of coming around to that too, just doing like whatever, you know, you don't need to do only what's legal for your belt level or what's legal in the sport. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah.
I remember go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, do you have any techniques at your gym that you like, not necessarily ban, but ask people not to do? Like for instance, at our gym, like, especially for like the newer guys or white belts, I ask them like, please don't jump guard if you can avoid it. And preferably no like scissor takedowns, just those things that can be really dangerous on knees. I don't say it's banned or never do it, but like, you know, if you're going to do it, make sure you're going to do it safely. Like it's on you. Like if you hurt someone with one of these techniques, I don't give a shit what the person you hurt was doing. It's your fault.
Yeah, that's exactly what my answer was going to be when you asked it. Like no scissor takedowns or jumping close guard. But that's something I don't really mention a whole lot just because it's not, I don't know, like no one just does it anyways, right? But I should probably make like a sign just to remind people because, yeah, that stuff's dangerous. But at the same time, it's like I sometimes do scissor takedowns. I don't do, I don't jump guard, but I do scissor takedowns, but only if I know that it's going to be safe to do, right? But the problem is not everyone knows when it's safe to do. And if I start to enter one and I feel like, okay, it might not be safe, I'm going to pull out right away. Like I'm not going to just go for it anyways. So yeah, even something like that, like something it's pretty dangerous. It can not be dangerous, but at the same time, I don't trust other people to do it. And, you know, if someone goes for one on me, like if it's a black belt, it's fine. As long as they understand safety, because that's the thing. It's like, you can pretty much you can do anything at the gym, just like do it safe, like prioritize safety. If you're not safe, like that's what's outlawed. You can't do that shit.
I remember I was doing a technique once. It was kind of like a scissor takedown and it was from seated guard and I would jump up really hop up really quickly and scissor takedown. But the person I did it to was like, I don't feel comfortable with you doing that to me. And I was like, that's cool. And I never did it again. You know what I mean? Like you got, like you said, you got to know who you're rolling with, and you got to know what they might have injuries you don't know about.
Yeah.
This person had a bad knee.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anytime I've went for one, like I'll tell them after, like I would only do that safely, like just so they don't worry, like, oh, like he just did a scissor takedown on me, is he a douche? Like, no, like I'll only do that to you if I know that I can 100% do it safe. And I always say it after, and they're always, oh yeah, it's fine, you know, don't worry about it. But I think that's the thing too. It's like, you know, you have to let people know that you're not being reckless, even if you do perform it well. Like if you're something that can be such a stigma to it, like for good reason, because it's so dangerous. But like jumping guards, just never do it. Like never jump close guard. I saw on Reddit too. Like I lurk on Reddit all the time. But like I saw someone jump close guard, which is just one of like many videos I've seen, and just blew out this girl's knee. Like and then she kind of gets up like shocked it happens, and like you know obviously in shock, like because that sucks. But like just don't do it in the first place. Like what do you expect to happen? Like it can be done safely, but I mean you didn't do it safely. Like the person has like their leg straight out, like really leading with that leg. You put weight on it, it's going to collapse. It's just a very fast knee bar. So I don't know what's wrong with people.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a guy's knee jumping close guard in a tournament when I was like near the tail end of blue belt. It was a tournament, like I think I was up 4 points with like 30 seconds left, and I just jumped close guard. He turned kind of sideways, and I landed on like the side of his knee, and it just folded underneath him. You know, he screamed, yelled, ref stopped the match, and I actually think that's the last time I've ever jumped close guard because I felt really bad. I mean, it's a tournament, and I was playing a strategy to win, so like, but it is kind of my fault. I feel really bad. Like it was my fault. I jumped on the side of his knee. I hurt him. Like I wasn't safe about it, but I haven't done it since, just because it does feel really bad when you hurt someone doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like even though it's awful, the silver lining is almost that it's like collateral damage in the sense of, you know, now you know not to ever do that again, and you can really promote that to your students and everyone around you not to do it. Like the same thing I've said many times when I hurt Joey's knee going for that hip throw, that was like collateral damage for me to make sure that I really advocate against doing that, like forcing hip throws. So yeah, it sucks to be, you know, the one on the receiving end, but you know, it's like, this is how people kind of learn from people kind of making mistakes. Right. And now, yeah, that stuff can be avoided more. Like there's been so many videos of scissor takedowns that now there's such a stigma to them, for good reason. So all those people were just kind of almost like sacrifices to make sure more people don't get hurt, and unfortunate for them for sure. But you know, we thank them for their service.
If taught properly, it can be a very safe takedown, correct?
Oh yeah, because you just need to make sure that that their knee is like, they're leading with their knee. Their knee isn't like back, and you need to make sure you put your hand on the mat so that you can control your weight as you go. Like if you just jump right into it and their knee is like back further, then you're not going to be able to get there, and you're just going to put immense pressure on the knee, but hopefully the ankle, because it'll go to the ankle or the knee. And I saw in a tournament, one of my friends, someone did one on him, and he busted his ankle, but like it pretty bad. But you know, I was just happy it wasn't his knee, because you know, ankles are one thing, that sucks, but the knees are another. Knees are much worse for sure.
I guess any technique can be dangerous if you fuck it up or do it wrong or are careless with it, right? Like heel hooks, they would say were banned everywhere before, and now I don't know a gym that doesn't do heel hooks.
Well, yeah, but many still don't though. Yeah, many still don't.
Really?
They're just behind with the times. Like, you know, it's funny. Someone I was rolling with yesterday, they were reaping me, and they were asking like, "Was this okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is 2023. You know, like reap me. It's great, but like don't, you know, bust my knee." But they weren't, and I would know when to tap. Like if I was feeling pressure on the knee, I would just tap. You know, and that's kind of the problem too. Like in the gi, it's a little different because, yeah, I'm not a big fan of like doing heel hooks in the gi or like lateral pressure on the knee that way in the gi, just because I do like to separate the sports a little bit. Where like, you know, one we do leg locks like that, and the other one we don't, just for like variety, and also it's harder to defend in the gi, these types of things. But yeah, like people sometimes really like big time complain when they're getting reaped. But it's like, well, you could just tap, you know what I mean? Like it's, especially in nogi, because again, like so many leg locks and entries, like they involve reaps. So you have to get comfortable and knowledgeable when you're in danger, when you're not. Like, yeah, but people will freak out. They'll be, you're reaping me, and get all mad. Like, then yeah, just tap.
I just tap.
Yeah, I mean, it's the beauty of our sport is there is an easy way out if you're not comfortable with the position. And it's just tap or ask your partner, like, hey, I don't like this. Like Mike said earlier, when the one partner told him, like, I'm not comfortable with that. You always have that right in a gym to just say to your partner, like, hey, I'm not particularly comfortable with this.
Yeah, I think people forget that. I think they'd rather just get mad. You know, they'd rather just get mad than like communicate, because it's just easier. It's just easier. Well, it's not easier, but like for them, like mentally almost to like deal with it. It's like, I'm not the problem. Like it's you, and I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to be mad at you. You know what I mean? But just like, just tell them, and then it should be fine. But yeah, you guys watched what was the event last night? I didn't watch it because I don't watch Jiu-Jitsu. It's boring to me. But yeah, you guys watched it, right?
Yeah, it was Who's Number One. I didn't watch it live. I caught a replay of it, but I'm all caught up now. It was the Who's Number One event. Meregali and Kainan was the main event. Yeah. I don't know. They have a numbering system for their events. I don't keep track that much.
Yeah, how'd it go?
The main event was really interesting. I think obviously like Meregali's really new-ish to Nogi. I don't know. It's been like maybe a year since he started doing Nogi. And Kainan obviously 2-time ADCC gold medalist. And Meregali actually made it look really easy. I mean, he took down, submitted Kainan, and it wasn't really a close match. Honestly, he looked significantly better pretty much all aspects of the game. It was really impressive for someone who's not primarily like a no-gi guy, or, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but like Gordon Ryan, obviously like no-gi is what he basically does almost exclusively, but Meregali looked just as dominant as Gordon has, and being a gi world champion, I think it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I watched the finish on Reddit, and I don't know. To me, like I thought Kainan looked pretty sloppy, but I don't know if it was like he's just tired, because when you get tired, you get sloppy. But you know, how long did the match go?
It went almost the full, like, was it a 15-minute match?
I think it was a 15-minute match. I think it went like, I don't know the exact number offhand, but it was definitely over 10, I believe.
Yeah, because Kainan got the first judge's favor, and then Meregali got the second judge's favor, I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah.
Well, that makes sense to me then, because again, like when you're tired, you get sloppy. But you know, just like certain things, like during the finish, like he was in side control, and he was just keeping his arms like super like out there for Meregali to like underhook him and control him, and he wasn't staying tight. So he was just like giving it to him, and then giving like an easy mount entry. And yeah, I was just kind of like, oh wow. But yeah, he's definitely good. But I think Meregali, I don't know. I don't think it's that crazy to transition from gi to no gi. Like he's been doing it for at least a year, right? So to me, like that's like plenty of time to transition. I think that he's really good now, and of course he'll get better. But I think that you know, people that are like, oh, you know, he's a gi guy that's he's still transitioning or whatever. I don't think so. I think that he's good to go right now. So, and his skill set is apparent. You know, he's pretty good, and people people are curious. Me too. Like, will him and Gordon eventually have a feud to see, you know, to like who's better? Like if Meregali starts catching up to Gordon, I don't know if they're close. Like I would like to see them roll. But that is the thing, like same thing with like Nicky Rod, like, you know, they were training partners and now they're rivals. So I wonder if the same thing will happen with Meregali.
I have no idea. It'll be interesting. I mean, he seems pretty happy in that new wave camp. All of his posts, he's very complimentary to the team and to John Danaher. So I don't know if he'd want to leave. He seems pretty happy, but obviously if Gordon keeps competing, and that's to me is the question mark. I don't know. Gordon's had some health issues. He's won pretty much everything you can win. So I don't know how much longer he's going to stay active in the sport, but I imagine if they keep competing, there's going to come a time at an ADCC, you know, people forget Meregali almost won the absolute this year, and they would have had the super fight if he did. So I feel like if they both keep competing, it's inevitable that they'll get matched up at some point.
Yeah, I like to see that. You know, I like Gordon said before he wants to compete till he's like at least 40, or I think even older, which I think he could because he's a bigger guy, and usually they have more longevity as they get older because they don't have to rely on speed as much, especially with Gordon being like very technical. So yeah, I'd love to see that match for sure. And there's some Canadians on the card did pretty well, like Dante Leon against Ethan Creliston. He beat Ethan, and then Oliver Taza too. He won, even though it's pretty controversial, I guess. Like I didn't watch the match.
I didn't see that one. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, Joey, can you fill us in?
Yeah, I only watched pieces of that match. I don't think Taza won that match. I don't know. I guess maybe the judges have different criteria than I do when I judge a match, but I thought he lost that quite clearly. I didn't find it a particular. They had some good moments, some good scrambles, but I didn't find it a particularly enjoyable match.
Yeah.
The Fionn Davis match was pretty good. I can't remember who she fought, but the daughter of a very famous ADCC veteran. I can't think of his name.
Jasmine Hosha. Wagner's daughter.
Yeah, yes. And she just did whatever she wanted. She couldn't, she ended with the head and arm choke, right?
No, I actually can't remember. I thought it was a leg. Oh, no, I think you're right. Actually, no, sorry. I'm mixing up the other women's match that was on the card.
I might be wrong, but it was a good match. She basically did whatever she wanted, sat in mount for like 6 minutes and just kept going for the head and arm choke over and over and over and over again.
Well, from what I understand, when Ethan was up against Dante Leon, he was just like throwing up a lot of leg locks. And, you know, people are saying like, you know, nowadays you can't rely only on leg locks because everyone does leg locks. Where like before, like, you know, 5 years ago or around then, it wasn't nearly as popular. So you could just like have such an advantage over people having a big leg lock game because they didn't have the tools to defend. But like now it's like, you need to have everything. But I don't know if that's true. Like how did that match go?
Ethan definitely did look for leg locks. You could tell that was his plan from the start, which is interesting because if you watched Ethan's recent matches, especially the Fabricio Andre, he's very good at taking the back. He's got very good back control and finishing from the back. So I was surprised he was so focused on the legs, but I wonder if any of that had to do with just how strong Dante Leon is. That dude is like, I watch a lot of professional jiu-jitsu and a lot of amateur jiu-jitsu. You don't see a lot of like rear naked chokes or like arm triangles from the back very often where the arm is in. Like that takes a good squeeze to finish that, especially against someone like Ethan, who is a very good competitor and definitely isn't just going to like panic tap to some pressure. Like if you're going to choke someone like that, you've got to have a choke. So I wonder if maybe the strength of Dante, and Dante did look bigger. So I wonder if maybe the strength was part of the reason Ethan focused on the legs, thinking this might be the easiest way to attack and mitigate that strength difference.
Yeah, probably. I think that there is a strength difference. Definitely attacking the legs is going to be the best route to victory for sure. And obviously Ethan's like really good at leg locks, and yeah, Dante is a beast for sure. Like Dante was like one of the top guys competing like back in the day when I was like a blue belt and a purple belt. So I always saw him around at different tournaments, and he was always like a belt higher than me though. So I never got an opportunity to compete against him, but yeah, he like wrecked everyone. He was like, he was definitely really good. And yeah, he came up in the Canadian scene. Same with like Oliver Taza and Ethan Creliston too. Like they were all like competing like same time I was. And so it's cool now to see like people that were just like kind of part of the local scene, and now they're like big time like superstars like for competitors. So yeah, especially as Canadians too, because for a long time Canadian grappling kind of lagged behind you know, the like American and Brazilian grappling, but you know, now it's getting more like like people are doing well. So yeah, it's really cool to see. Support for Talk-Jitsu is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code JTJ at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 14 million balls. So what's your experience been with Manscaped?
Well, I've used probably a half a dozen different name brand products before, and they're terrible. I've cut myself every time, and these are very expensive, very well named brand products. And with Manscaped, I've never cut myself.
Exactly. And you know what I like the most about the Manscaped razor is it has a flashlight on it. And you think
that's the best.
It's amazing. You think that, it's just this like, feature or whatever, but actually it's kind of like, when you experience a light on your razor, it makes you wonder why no other ones have that too, because this is a game changer. You can just see everything so much easier, even if you don't have the perfect lighting. So that was my favorite aspect of it. I was actually shocked how much better it made too, because I was doing my neckline and everything. I was like, I can actually see where the line should be, right? Because there's a light. It's so simple and so smart. So I really like that from Manscaped.
100%. I thought, is this a gimmick? And then I tried it. I was like, no, this is the way. This is the only razor I've ever had that has a light on it, and it really lights the way to shaving your balls.
It does. It makes all the difference. I think a lot of other brands are maybe more towards like your hair or just your beard or something, right? But this is like the full package. So guys, JTJ at checkout, let's go.
Does it make you want to compete, or
do
you get the itch?
Well, yeah, like I do. See, my problem is that I have all the confidence, but I don't have the motivation, because like it's just a big time commitment and whatnot. But like, I've competed against Ethan and against Oliver in the gi and at the lower belts, and I beat them. But that's like the lower belts, right? And the gi. But I think that just like that kind of shows me that like if I would have kept competing too, I would have success like they did, I think, at least. So, and I think I would now too. But yeah, I'm more focused on MMA. Like, I was going to take an MMA fight. I got offered it the day before, like the day after hurting my knee, which really sucked, because I was like, gung ho, ready to go. But yeah, I think that I have like I think I have a lot of longevity in my body left. Like, I'm 32 right now, and I think I'll have at least till like 36, 37 to be able to, compete at a high level. So I'm not at a super like rush to, compete. I just want to find the motivation first. And especially when my boys are getting older, they're going to school soon, and like they're going to school in September. So like, it's like 3 weeks away, and my life becomes a lot easier for sure. So I might have like, more time, more motivation, because that's what it comes down to. You can't compete if you don't have motivation. Like it's just not something you can do. And, I'm not scared to compete. I'm just not motivated. I just don't like feel like it. Like I don't want to do that. It's stressful. Like I already have so much stress in my life. Like I don't want to add more stress to it. But yeah, like I'm getting in shape right now, like preparing for the self-defense challenge. So in Australia. So like kind of what I want to do is just like after that to stay in shape, and then take some MMA fights, and maybe go back to grappling too. And yeah, I think I would do well. So hopefully I find the motivation.
And when is that again? When are you guys filming that?
It's in November. Yeah, it's in early November. So it's in Australia at this like cool like self-defense facility. And yeah, I should like watch like the first season more to kind of like start getting like tactics and stuff like that. But yeah, I go into everything super confident. I'm going to win that. Like, I'll say right now, I'm going to win. None of them are going to beat me. I know that for sure. But like, yeah, there's some tough competitors for sure. And I don't know. I've never like, done this kind of stuff either, like knife fighting and like fighting in a bus and stuff like that. But, I just trust my instinct. Like, I just trust I'll be able to figure it out, get the job done. And, yeah, it should be fun.
Well, you seem like the type, and with your jiu-jitsu, I've seen you adjust on the fly. You can usually figure shit out pretty quick and without much preparation.
Yeah, like I think that's my best attribute, is just be able to like figure people out quickly and like just like react quickly on the spot, and kind of, just good like sports IQ and fight IQ. So yeah, it should be good. Without sounding like I'm bragging, even though it kind of is, but I rolled with like a brown belt the other day, and he trains in Toronto. He was saying, that he's trained a lot of black belts there, and no one has wrecked him like I have, like just completely dominated him. And then he asked me after, like, he was telling me after, like, it feels like he can never get grips on me. Like everything he does, he can't get a grip on me. But it's like, that's because I prioritize the grip fight. So that's something I want to talk about too, is like grip fighting. I think people don't prioritize it enough. Like they don't understand how important it is, because they think it's just like break grips. It's like a grip goes on, you break the grip. But it's like, you need to get grips like that's the main goal. It's like take underhooks and take deny underhooks, and like that should be your priority. And people, it's just too easy sometimes taking underhooks on people, and it just blows my mind. Even sometimes when it's black belts or brown belts, it's just like, oh, I got an underhook, too easy, like you should like prevent this more. And yeah, that's also why I've been using like the low posture headquarters so much, because it's just like an easy way to take underhooks, take like inside position, deny it. And same thing with the feet, keeping the feet off you, because they just can't grip you if you're like spreading their legs wide, and they have their knee shield to defend. And sometimes like I tell, like, well, not sometimes, like I give these concepts to people and they have success with it, but they still don't prioritize it enough. They just don't truly understand how important it is. And they start getting like, I don't know what the word is, like they lose patience and they just do other stuff. But it's like, prioritize this and you'll like be so much easier.
I have that same problem. I will try something that's not working. I'll revert back to what I know or what's familiar to me. But then I have to tell myself, no, you gotta do like what you just said. You got to try this. You got to keep at it to get good.
Yeah. You got to do what's right, even if it's hard, which is like just such a great life, like quote to live by as well. You got to do what's right, even if it's hard. So like, and without going off topic, I think this is a good thing for like mental health too, because like, if you're like struggling with mental health, it's like, it doesn't mean that you're weak. But if you don't do what you need to do still while feeling like shit, then that can be kind of like a sign of weakness. It's like, you still need to do what you need to do. Like sometimes I feel like shit, but I'm still getting shit done, even though I don't feel like it. It's like the people have like the wrong idea. They think like someone that's like, depressed and stuff like that, like they're mentally weak. But like, no, like that shows how strong they are if they're getting on with it despite feeling like shit.
We were talking this morning. I was telling you that I've had zero motivation and been super depressed the last while, but I still show up to class. I still do my job afterwards. If I didn't have that, I don't know where I'd be. That's what keeps me grounded. It keeps me sane.
Yeah, I've been in the same boat, which we're talking about too before the podcast. Just like kind of feeling like shit lately. Just feeling unmotivated. And just feeling like low energy and just not wanting to do much. And but yeah, still getting stuff done. But like, yeah, like I don't know. The more and more I want to like advocate for like mental health, because there's so many people out there that going through a hard time, and it's just like I feel like some companies want to like pretend like they're like supporting mental health and stuff like that, but it's just like they're just what's it called? I don't know, like not white knighting, but like I forget what the word is, but yeah, they're just like, I think there's not enough support for people. So people really liked when I did like the BetterHelp ad in my last video, because I was just open, like, sometimes I feel like shit, and that's just like, it just sucks, but it is what it is. That's one reason why it's hard to compete too, because I go through periods of time where like, I'm going to kill everyone. I'm going to compete and just like beat the shit out of everyone. Like I know I'm the best. And then other times I'm like, yeah, I know I'm good, but I don't really feel like it. You know what I mean? So it's hard to make decisions when you're feeling good, knowing that you might feel like crap, when you actually have to do it. And then it's hard to make decisions when you're feeling bad, because you don't know the same thing. You don't know how you're going to feel when you actually have to go do it. So yeah, I just want to get in a place where I just feel like more steady.
I feel like you have to rely on yourself to get yourself out of these things more than a doctor. I've asked my doctor for the past 4 or 5 months to get me in to see a person to talk to, a psychiatrist. And I just got my appointment. It's in December. So I've been almost a year. Like, what if I can't wait a year? You know what I mean? I have a problem now.
That's the problem with Canadian healthcare. Same thing with me too. I wanted to see a psychiatrist and they said it's going to be a year. I'm like, a year?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Like, but the thing is, when it comes to jiu-jitsu, like so many people think and it does, it helps them with their mental health, because like, but even if you're feeling shit while you're doing jiu-jitsu, like I think I feel worse without it.
Oh, 100%.
So, because I don't always feel like rolling, because if I'm feeling down, I don't really feel like it. But I know if I didn't, I'd be feeling even worse, kind of giving into it. And one thing interesting that Craig Jones said was that he said that jiu-jitsu's ruined more lives than it's helped, than it's saved, because there's that quote, like, jiu-jitsu saved my life. And he's saying, no, like, it's ruined more lives than it's that is saved, because people get hurt or this and that. But I think he's coming at it from a more like biased perspective because, you know, he's a competitor. So like, that's who he hangs around with. And so many people, like, you know, they drop everything to try to be the next big thing in grappling or whatever. And then it just doesn't happen, and just like really hard on them. But like for the average person, 100% jiu-jitsu, it helps more people than it ruins or whatever.
Everybody I talk to that's in my age category or around my age category says that they've benefited so much from jiu-jitsu, like mentally, physically. Like we've seen physical changes in, well, I'll say his name, Barry. Like he looks like a different human being than when he joined. He said he never felt better in his life than he does right now. So other than mentally, physically, it'll add longevity.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Craig was just kind of like playing devil's advocate. I don't think he like truly believes that. Like, you know, there's risk of getting injured, but it's not that high. Like, if you use your body, you know, you risk getting hurt. It's just reality. You don't use your body, you also risk bad things happening too. So, yeah.
And let's be honest, saying an injury is a ruined life is probably pretty hyperbolic. I mean, obviously there are exceptions. You know, someone might get paralyzed, and that could really ruin your life. But like, I've had some pretty bad injuries, and I wouldn't even consider my life close to ruin. I mean, I've got a knee that doesn't really work anymore, but it's just a part of life, and I've got a shoulder that's pretty messed up. You know, it's just like my life's not ruined. You just have to adapt. I mean, I actually think it's a little almost a little offensive to people who have like physical disabilities or physical ailments to say that, like, you know, breaking a leg is ruining someone's life. Well, there's a lot of people out there who have legs that don't work, or, you know, they have medical conditions where, like, you know, they would love to have my leg that barely works, like my knee that's messed up. There's a lot of people out there who'd be really jealous of the fact that I just have a functioning leg, even if it's not perfect. So to say it ruins a life to have an injury, I think is pretty disingenuous.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think like the hardest thing people have a hard time with, like myself included, is just like understanding actually how well you have it, and knowing that you're in a much better situation than many people are, but then still just not being happy with it. You know what I mean? Just like, I don't know, it's just human nature, I guess, just to like complain and just, you know, find if something's not perfect, then it's like no good at all.
I feel you. If I took an overview of my life and looked at it, it's from my perspective, it's pretty good. But, you know, I get down on myself all the time. I can't help it sometimes. But then, you know, with the valleys come the peaks too. So, you know, there's a peak coming. So
yeah,
I hang on for those.
Like myself included, like I think I just hate feeling like shit. Where it's like, you know, like obviously everyone does, but like, that's just part of life. You know, you're going to feel crappy sometimes, you're going to feel good sometimes, and you got to savor the good and endure the bad. And it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. It's like, not always is it going to be like, you know, just the best thing ever. Sometimes you're going to come in, just get your ass kicked and just feeling like shit. But, you know, if you quit, then it's over, right? You don't get to go through those peaks too. And, you know, which is similar with life. If you end it, I mean, it's horrible and very sad, but like, it's the same thing. You're not going to go through those peaks of happiness either. It's like you have to accept that, you know, you're going to have some low periods, and you got to do what you can to get to a high period. I'm not afraid to admit that there has been times in my life here's a trigger warning for anybody with mental illness. There's been times in my life where I've almost done that. And I would never have seen any of this. So like, you don't know what's in your future. I thought it could only get worse. It would never get better. And little did I know I'd meet a beautiful woman. I'd have a daughter. You know, I have an amazing fiance, great friends. I'm on a fucking podcast. Like, I couldn't dream this shit 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you know? So it always can get better.
You know, obviously everyone can look back at their life and like go, oh, maybe I made a bad decision here, or this was like, you know, a gamble I took that didn't pay off, and not necessarily gambling, but like, everyone takes chances in life, and maybe you look back and go, oh, I made a really bad decision. I wish this hadn't happened to me. Everyone can look back and do that. But like, ultimately, you know, I've had a lot of those moments, but I'm pretty lucky with where my life is. I'm doing all right. I mean, I'm teaching jiu-jitsu for a living, which is like, I'm sure there's millions of people on the planet who would love to be able to take the thing they love doing and make money off it and make it their career. So like, I sometimes, you know, I have a bad day, or like you have a bad day on the mat, so you're frustrated and you wonder what, and then you're like, you just have to step back sometimes and look and go like, man, would a lot of people kill to be in the position I'm in life? Yeah, probably. So I really should stop complaining.
Yeah, I mean, like one thing that I hate feeling is like feeling like, and this is a quote from Theo Vaughn. I heard him say it on TikTok. He's like, sometimes it feels like my life is more of a to-do list than it is like living my life, and I hate that feeling. Like I got all these things to do. I wake up, it's like I got this to do, I got that to do, I got this to do. Like I want to be able to do what I want to do too. Like not that I don't want to do these things, but I feel like it's just hard being like working so much and just finding time just to relax and do things like that aren't productive. It's like I feel like sometimes like everything I do I just got to be productive, and it's just frustrating. But I think like the real way to solve like this is just not to give a fuck. It's like that the book, it's like stop giving a fuck, and just reality. It's like so many people, they just give a fuck about too much, the things that they don't really need to. And if they just didn't care as much about certain things, then they could just be happier. And again, that's life and jiu-jitsu. It's like, who cares if you got tapped by whoever? Now now you're sad and everything, and or you're just not doing you're not progressing as fast as you want to. It's like, have the mentality like, who cares? If you're not going to be a world champion, if that's not your plans, just like enjoy jiu-jitsu and enjoy, and same thing with life. Like it's like just try to enjoy life. Like most like people here have it good for sure, especially like in North America and these other like kind of Western countries, but especially us, definitely we have it good. Like me and Joey own a gym, and you just met a girlfriend and everything, and doing well, fiance. So yeah, it's just life.
I like the way you phrased that when you said like just don't give a fuck. Like is to apply it to jiu-jitsu. Like I used to be the guy who got like really, when I competed, like I would care so much about how it went. And the last little while, the last few times I've competed, I just really didn't care. I mean, obviously I want to win. It means a lot to me to win, but I kind of went in more with this mindset of like, hey, if I lose, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to go home. I'm going to see my wife. We're going to have like my life goes on. And in a week, no one's going to remember. Like my students at the gym aren't going to like hate me for the fact that I lost. Like I'm going to get to go back. I'm going to get to teach my classes. People are still going to be, like they're still going to be my students. They're still going to appreciate me, and no one's going to think less of me because I went out and competed and lost. So I've been kind of going in with more of a mentality of like, I want to win, but more importantly, I just want to go out and do what I can control, do my best. And then whatever happens it's what happens. And I think that's something a lot of people need to apply to more things in life. Like there's stuff you can't control, and to get frustrated or worried or stressed about that stuff is like, it might seem like a big deal, but it doesn't help you at all. Go out, whatever it is, do your best, do what you can do, control the things you can control. And then whatever's going to happen from there is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like one thing I like to remind myself is like life is what you think about. If you're just thinking about all these like crappy things or things that you perceive as crappy, like that's the life you're living. But like you can just not think about that stuff and just be in the moment and be thinking about the stuff in the moment, then that's your life, right? But if you're like spending time with like family or whatever, but you're thinking about other stuff, well, that's your life right now, is thinking about that stuff. Again, you should be spending time thinking about being in the present moment, and not having these other thoughts. So yeah, definitely, I think that's the number one thing people have a hard time with when they compete is like, what? Yeah, and it's like, what is my instructor gonna, or what is everyone gonna think about me if I lose?
100%.
And I think it's so silly because it is silly, because people, they say that to me, and I'm just like, no one cares. Like I do not care if you lose, not in a bad way, not like where I don't want you to win. Obviously I want people to win and do well and be happy, but like if they lose, I don't care. Like it just doesn't even like phase me in the sense of like what I think about them. It makes me feel bad. Like that's how I care. Like I only feel bad because I don't want them to feel bad, but I couldn't care less that they actually lost. I only care that they feel bad. So, and it's the same thing with all their friends, all like their training partners. Like no one actually cares. Like the only thing they care about is how you feel. And then if you don't, if you feel like shit, then they feel bad too that you feel like shit. You know what I mean? And you're just like, you're feeling bad. Like I don't know. It's just kind of like a revolving circle. It's just like people don't need to care about that.
My first tournament, when I lost, I was so broken and down because I didn't want to let you down. I didn't want to let the gym down. I didn't want to let my training partners down because everybody's like, oh, you're going to kill it. You're going to kill it. And I got fucking smoked in my first tournament. And you didn't it didn't bother you at all. You said, well, you did what you did. You tried your best and you'll do better next time. And you were right. I did. But in the moment I was I just didn't want to let the gym down. That's all I could keep thinking about is I'm dragging the gym's name down. Some random white belt that's 40 years old at a tournament. It's not going to drag a gym's name down, but that's what was going through my head.
Well, especially with people's first tournaments, I feel like it's like, especially no one cares if you do poorly, because it's just a write-off for the most part. Like I lost my first tournament, you lost your first tournament. Like Owen, who we talked about last podcast, how he's killing it right now, he lost his first tournament. It's like no one cares about this stuff. Like it's fine. It's like if you lose, you just got to make sure, if that's something that's important to you, to not lose next time or not lose the time after. But it can take a while. It can be a process, because you learn so much as you compete, and you get better and better and better. So yeah, it's just people need to enjoy the journey more, for sure.
Mike, you said something that was really interesting there. You said, like, when you wanted to compete, a lot of your teammates are telling you, like, oh, you're going to kill it. You're going to do like all this, like you're going to win and stuff. And that's actually something I've stopped doing at my gym. And I actually ask my students not to do to each other, rather than, because like, you have a student who's going to compete and you go, oh, you're going to kill it. Like you're going to win. And then they feel like if they don't, they've failed or they've let you down. Yeah. So like, you're trying to motivate them. And I get a lot of people think that way, but you're also putting a pressure on someone of now they're thinking in their head, like, oh, everyone thinks I have to win or I'm going to win. So now now what I say to my students when they're going to compete, if I think they're right, I say, like, I think you're going to do well. I think you're going to be competitive. I think you're well prepared, things like that, where it's like, I'm not putting the emphasis on the outcome of the match. I'm putting the emphasis on the preparation, the getting in there, the doing the thing. Because like at the end of the day, if one of my students goes out, has a really hard fought match, plays their best game, but just loses to a better grappler, I'm thrilled. I'm happy. I mean, I've had some of my students lose some matches that they come off, and I'm super proud, because I'm like, hey, that thing we've been working on for 2 months, you did it. You did it perfectly. Sure, you didn't win. The guy had a great answer, but you did what we prepared to do. You did the stuff we were working on. And we lost, but we'll take those lessons, go back and fix it up, and next time will be easier. Whereas if you go in with the attitude of like, you're going to win, anything less than the win is failure.
Yeah, exactly. Also, that I agree with you 100%, because it does put a lot of pressure, because people think just because you're good or that you're doing well, that you're just going to go out and do it, but like you still have to do it, and it's hard. Competing's hard. There's so many variables, and there's other guys too that are good. And it can be good, like competing against someone that's good and really pushes you, even if they beat you. Like you can just learn so much from that. And yeah, because sometimes people say too, like, oh, that guy sucks, you're gonna crush him or whatever. It's like, well, now if I crush him, who cares, because he sucks. And then if I lose, well, do I suck too? So there's all these like weird things people can say. But yeah, like you're right, Joe. You just need to tell people, yeah, I know you're gonna perform well, like you're very good, and what happens, happens. Like it's what it is what it is.
I mean, I'm doing the Vancouver ADCC Open next weekend. And I think there's 20 guys in my division, which is a lot for like a brown black belt division. And, sometimes you have students be like, oh man, you're so good. You're going to kill it. You're going to win. And I'm like, my response to them is never like, yeah, I think I'm going to win. It's always like, I think I'm well prepared. I think I'll do well. I'll compete well. My goal, like when I go in, like, obviously I want to win, but I always just say like, I just don't want to be the guy that's the easy match for someone else. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay if I go in and have a really hard fought match and like maybe I lose in the first round, but as long as I give the guy a good match and I do my game, I'm happy. Like and I think for my students, that's kind of the thing I try to impose upon them. Is like, as long as you do your game, I'm happy. If you go out there and you slap bump and you just don't do anything and don't play your game, like, maybe someone mentally really struggled with it and they froze under the pressure. Like, I'm not upset, but it's something that now we have to go back and figure out why that happened and work on that. So if you're one of the people at your gym who tells people like, oh, you're going to win, I'm not saying it's bad or like obviously the intentions are good and you care about your friend, but sometimes maybe just try rephrasing the things you say in a way that puts less emphasis on the outcome.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think one fear people have is that they will do poorly and just get their ass kicked right away. You know, it's almost as if they go in, they're worried that they almost like forget jujitsu, which happens to me too sometimes, where it's like I've got a match coming up and I feel like I just forget everything, like going into it, like, you know, but then I go in there and it's obviously I don't forget it, but it can be like a weird kind of feeling. But yeah, how do you like mentally deal with actually getting like just murked right away, like in your first, whether it be your first tournament or just a tournament in general? Like, yeah, I don't know.
Is there like that might be one of the worst feelings in the world to start a match and then lose, like taken down, guard passed, mounted, back taken, choked in like 30 seconds. And there's nothing you can take from the match where you're like, well, I did at least one thing well. Like you just kind of like, I just got beaten start to finish. Like it's brutal, man. I wish I had a good answer for how to deal with it. I usually just like mope and sorrow for a while and then hopefully get back in the gym and beat up some training partners and get some confidence back.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes feeling like shit can be a good thing. It can be like feel like shit and mope on it because it just should motivate you to not want to feel that way again. You know, that's the way I look at it. Like, obviously I hate feeling like shit. So like I can do everything I can to make sure that I win next time or I do not get murked next time, you know, if that were to happen. But like, especially in MMA, it sucks because in MMA, just so you get knocked out fast, like that sucks. Like, you know, Askren against Masvidal, like that sucked for sure. But like, what's even worse is like just getting your ass kicked for like the whole round for multiple rounds. Nothing you do, even remotely work. They just had the better of you completely, like 10-8 rounds. Like, how do you recover from that? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'd have a hard time getting my ass kicked like that. That's for sure.
Well, the first tournament I did, I got smoked. And then the second tournament, I fought the same guys. So my motivation was I want to do better than I did the last time, obviously, because I just got steamrolled and I was deer in headlights, froze, forgot what jiu-jitsu was. I couldn't hear Jordan. I was looking through a tunnel. It was like everything was not working. And then I kept thinking, I don't want to feel like that again. I do not want to feel as bad and as down as I did. And that motivated me to push as hard as I could. And I did well that tournament.
Yeah, I mean, because if you care that much about jiu-jitsu, which many people do, you need to apply that care for your preparation too, which you have, but like not everyone does. So like, you know, some people, they'll be so down on themselves that they lose, but they don't have maybe they don't have the time or desire to commit themselves fully to, improving and being better. So that doesn't happen. Right. So if you can't give it your all, you can't, I don't think you should necessarily feel too bad because you're not the best, you know, just, you can't give it your all.